Hello everyone and welcome once again. In today's video we are going to discuss some of the very important thing which is important for the researchers who are already doing the research and for the upcoming researchers. So this is a topic of hypothesis which I have been asked by a number of persons to prepare a lecture on hypothesis because it appears quite confusing. So my effort or ultimate aim is to help you out in understanding the concept of hypothesis. And it's my assurance that with the conclusion of this lecture, you will be very much clear with the concept of hypothesis. Hypothesis is basically considered as an assumption which is required to be pre-assumed by a researcher when you take up a topic, when you decide upon a topic and you figure out a problem that this is the problem that you have to work upon. Then the next step is to devise a hypothesis. So what is hypothesis? What are the different types of hypothesis? And what are the types of errors that occur while devising a hypothesis? So in today's video, we are going to discuss all this. So for all this, you have to be very attentive and stay tuned so that you can have complete knowledge about the research hypothesis. Let's see actually what hypothesis is. To make it more easy, basically hypothesis is an assumption. Suppose you are starting up with a new journey and you really have no idea what is going to happen, but you were given a chance to decide to set an hypothesis that you believe that this will happen. There is no assurance that the hypothesis you are taking is going to be testified or is going to be verified. It completely depends upon the nature of the study, and after the conclusion of the writing of the thesis, you have to test the hypothesis. So what actually it is, let's see. Basically it is an assumption or a reasonable guess which is tested on the basis of available evidences and information. Means the information that is available to you, on the basis of that it is tested, and that is done at the end of the research work. But hypothesis is devised or created at the starting of the research. Once you have decided the topic, then you have decided the hypothesis. What characteristics does hypothesis have? It should explain what you expect to happen. Suppose you have taken up a topic on industry, so you have to assume that maybe if such factors are there, it is going to increase the revenue or whatever. So it should explain what you expect to happen. It should be clear and understandable. It should not be very confusing or usage of very tough language. It should be very simplified. It should be testable. It can be easily tested. It should be measurable. It can be measured, and it contains an independent and dependent variable. Let's understand an hypothesis with an example. Suppose you have a test scheduled tomorrow, but your friend, you know that you are going to study overnight and you are going to score well, but all of a sudden your friends make a random plan. They come to you and you all went out for a movie. Okay, now what is the hypothesis? What do you expect that what is going to happen tomorrow? You know that you are going to get lesser marks in the examination because you haven't studied, and it's very much clear. You know, because you haven't studied, the entire evidences and facts are before you. Testable, how it is going to be tested? Because the test is going to be conducted and you know you cannot answer. How it is measurable? It is measurable because your performance can be measured. The way you have performed in the previous test and today whatever you are performing. And lastly, it says it contains an independent and dependent variable. First, understand the concept of independent and dependent variable. Independent variable is the one which can be altered or changed, whereas dependent variable is the outcome or the result. So in this case, independent variable is that you went out for a movie with your friends, because it cannot be done because it's your choice that you opted for the movie. You have an option to study at home, but you opted for the movie. So independent is you went out for a movie, and dependent variable is the result, is the low grades that cannot be changed. Once you have received the grades, that is going to be final. So this is actually hypothesis. It's a guess and it should have the following characteristics. Just listen this example once again, so you have a better understanding of what hypothesis is. Now coming to the type of hypothesis. When we talk about research, we usually talk about two types of hypothesis, but usually there are 6 to 7 types of hypothesis: statistical, logical, simple, complex. But our concern is only with the null and alternate hypothesis. So let's see what null and alternate hypothesis is. As the name suggests, null means zero. Okay, so now understand this concept. Because we are talking about two variables, dependent and independent variable, when there is a no relationship between two variables, it is a null hypothesis. Means when you are claiming that the impact of this variable is not at all going to affect that particular variable, then it's a null hypothesis. And when you are stating a relationship between the two, that with the increase or decrease in one variable, the other will be affected, that is alternate hypothesis. So it says, it is a statement that describes that there is no relationship or association between two groups of variables in a study. Means there is no relationship between the two variables. The symbol for the null hypothesis is H0. No relationship between the two variables. So your hypothesis will be, first hypothesis will be that you have to state no relationship between the null and the alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis is that there is no relationship between two variables. And always remember that we always test null hypothesis, and when it's rejected, we accept the alternate hypothesis. Let's have a look at an example. If the hypothesis is that the consumption of a particular medicine reduces the chances of heart arrest, means this is a condition that the consumption of a particular medicine reduces the chances of heart arrest or heart ailments. So the null hypothesis will be there is no relationship between, means no relationship between the two variables, so medicines and heart ailments or heart arrest. So null hypothesis will be the consumption of the medicine doesn't reduce the chances of heart arrest. Means it is stating very much clearly that there is no relationship between the consumption of medicine reducing the chances of heart arrest. So this is a null hypothesis. I hope this much is clear. I am explaining once again that there is no relationship between two variables, and it is denoted by H0. As you can see, the statement says the consumption of a particular medicine reduces the chances of heart arrest, but null hypothesis will be the consumption of the medicine doesn't reduce the chances of heart arrest. Now coming to the second part, that is alternate. We have to derive both the null and alternate hypothesis for the research, and we have to test the null hypothesis. Always remember, alternate hypothesis, it is a statement that describes that there is a relationship between two selected variables in our study. Means whatever two variables that we have selected, there is a relationship between them. Symbol of the alternate hypothesis is either H1 or HA. So here it says the relationship between the two variables. Let's have a look at the same example. The previous example says the consumption of a particular medicine reduces the chances of heart arrest. So now the alternate hypothesis will be the consumption of the medicine reduces the chances of heart arrest. Means it is showing the relationship, means the consumption of medicine reduces the chances of heart arrest. So this is alternate, when you are explaining the relationship. Alternate hypothesis is when you are stating the relationship greater than, less than, but not equal to 0. And null hypothesis is when you are stating the relationship equal to 0. You don't consider there is a relationship between two variables, that is null hypothesis. And when you are assuming or believing that there is a relationship between two variables, that is an alternate hypothesis. Now let's have a look at these examples so that you can easily identify that what is null hypothesis and what is an alternate hypothesis. Okay, so the first example says skin problems are not caused by chemicals in makeup products. Means it is stating that skin problems are not caused by chemicals in makeup products. Means the chemicals are not responsible for the skin problems. So here no relationship is stated between. So it is an what? Alternate? No, this is a null hypothesis. Then it says group A is better than group B. As I told you, alternate hypothesis speaks about less than, greater than. So this is an alternate hypothesis. And lastly, growth of a child is related to the health drinks. Means child health growth is related to health brings. It shares a relationship. So this is an alternate hypothesis. So this is how you have to devise the hypothesis for your topic. Once you have the topic, you have to devise both the null and the alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis states no relationship between the two variables. An alternate hypothesis says that there is a relationship between the two variables. Now there are full chances that when you are making an assumption or you are making a guess, that errors may occur. So what type of errors that are expected to occur while making a proper decision? So the two errors that we are discussing today is type 1 error and type 2 error. What is type 1 error and what is type 2 error? All these topics are slightly confusing, but in actual sense it is not so. So you just have to understand, and I'm sure with the conclusion of this lecture you are going to have a correct and complete information about the errors and the hypothesis. And in case you need any more guidance or help, just let me know. You can mail me or you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook, so I'll help you out. Anyways, type 1 error. When null hypothesis is true, what is expected? It is believed that when something is true, it should be accepted. When it's true, it has to be accepted, but there is an error. Error is when H0 is true, it is rejected. This is type 1 error. And when it is false, it is accepted. This is type 2 error. When it is true but it's rejected, instead of accepting, it's type 1 error. Type 2 is when it is false but it's accepted. These are the two errors which occur during the time of making or deriving hypothesis. You can have a look at the diagram where you can see alternate hypothesis is true, meaning when it is true it should be accepted, but error occurs. This is type 1 error, that instead of accepting it was rejected, and when it is false it should be rejected, then it was accepted. So this is type 2 error. So I hope the concept, the meaning of hypothesis, the types of hypothesis and the types of errors are clear to you. In case of any doubt, you can just let me know. I'll help you out. So that's all for the day from my side. Keep learning, keep smiling, stay positive. May God bless you.